I have been a first-person shooter player my whole life, and yet I was always reluctant to play Escape from Tarkov. I read into the game, looked at the gameplay, all the kinds of things you do before buying a game, and on the surface, all I saw was a game where one bullet could completely wipe any and all progress you had made at any time, a game that demanded you had a PhD in Tetris sorting and inventory, and a game with enough visual recoil to make a magnitude 9.4 earthquake feel like a fucking cakewalk. In other words, it looked like my worst nightmare in game form. You see guys, my experience in first-person shooter games stems primarily from the likes of Call of Duty, Halo, Battlefield, and even PlanetSide, all of the usual suspects really. All games that obviously don't punish you as heavily for dying. I mean, the greatest degree of risk that comes from dying in those games is, well, your kill streak coming to an end. Or maybe you don't capture the objective or win the game overall, whatever the case may be, the consequences of you dying in a game like that are tied exclusively to the outcome of that particular match, and nothing more. I'm also a pretty aggressive player by nature. If you're someone who knows me and my playstyle when it comes to these games, you'll know that I'm a movement schmoover, ADHD-riddled moron who zips around maps trying to both outpace and outgun my opponents at the same time. A more grounded game like Tarkov, where the consequences are through the roof by comparison to the games I normally play, was going to humble me quickly, unless I changed up the way in which I, approached games like this. And, yeah, that scared me away from the game pretty bloody quickly. But the game went on sale at the start of the year, and I think we can all agree that the FPS space has been, let's say, uninspired as of late. So, out of pure curiosity and some degree of impulsiveness, I bought a copy of Escape from Tarkov, loaded into my first few runs, and I immediately understood it. Like a light bulb switching on in a dark hallway, it almost clicked as to why this game was so popular, why it constantly tops the Twitch charts every time a new wipe happens, and now all I can think to myself is, I regret not playing this game sooner. You see, much to my surprise folks, despite all of my original reservations with the game and how it plays being completely opposite to what I would normally gravitate towards, I'm fucking addicted to Escape from Tarkov. The game has me hooked, and I catch myself wanting to log in on the regular just to get that one last raid in, even after I go through some of the most humbling, soul-crushing defeats that sees me losing hours of progress due to a couple of small missteps in a raid. Which has genuinely got me thinking, folks, why am I enjoying this so much, right? Most of the time playing this game at the moment, I'm being kicked in the dick by a boot with a rail spike attached to it. Am I just a next level sheltered masochist? Have I unlocked some kind of newfound fetish that's been sheltered my whole life? Like, what's going on here? But no, as I've thought about it more, it's become quite obvious to me actually as to why I'm enjoying Tarkov so much at the moment. And funnily enough, it's for the very same reasons why I avoided the game like a plague originally, which does make for a very funny hindsight is a bitch kind of moment here. But anyway, it's the degree of risk that Tarkov introduces into its core gameplay loop, which then in turn leads to a much greater sense of reward when things go well, which is something I feel as though I've been missing in a lot of first-person shooters at the moment. Now, don't get me wrong, folks. I like getting into the thick of an FPS game without the existential dread of losing all my progress with the snap of a finger. It's relaxing. It means that I can jump in, frag out, get some good results, and go to bed without rocking myself to sleep in the fetal position. But by the same token, there's also only so much reward that can be experienced through doing that over and over again. There's no real sense of risk at play there in the big picture, which can cheapen the sense of reward over time as you play the game if you're looking for that constant sense of challenge. Which again is great in its own right. It's why those styles of FPS games have been around since day dot and continue to be around to this day. But with Escape from Tarkov, the sense of accomplishment that comes from overcoming and successfully navigating a raid, all the while defying the insurmountable odds and level of risk that the game throws at you, that right there hits different in a way that I've not experienced in a shooter in a long, long time. Realistically, every single raid that you go into in Tarkov, there's a chance that you might be completely one-tapped at random from someone who you never even knew was there. At all times, that risk is always present. Your chances of dying to someone when you're on the edge of the map, where there are no scav or PMC spawns to know of, those chances are low. but are never zero, and a degree of tension looms over you from the moment you start a raid. That also fucks with you mentally as you're learning the game. You move sheepishly, slowly, you aren't confident in your decisions as to when you should and shouldn't shoot, which makes for clumsy gameplay that is likely to get you killed more often than not. As a new player to the game myself, that has been the brunt of my experience. Despite my Twitch chat doing their absolute level-headed best to help me out where they could, and putting on displays for what can only be described as the patience of 1,000 saints, I tell you what. I died a lot and have lost a lot of the starting gear the game gives you, just due to me being incredibly hesitant in my gameplay. Risk by virtue punishes hesitancy, especially when it forces you into a quick decision situation. So when I started to successfully extract from action-packed raids where I engaged players, scavs, and even got some quests done in the process, and started to build that confidence up, yeah, that sense of reward is unlike any other I have felt in the first-person shooter space for a long time. The losses are crushing. You may extract with some boss-level setup in one raid and lose it all the very next, but that experience of triumphing in this game has genuinely got me hooked. You know, to me, it puts the hauntings of raids past to rest and makes you appreciate that all of the moments that there were frustration, you've actually managed to successfully walk out of a dangerous environment where you could have been blasted at any moment. Further to that, I think one of the key parts to getting the most out of Tarkov, at least in the early game, is quickly learning to appreciate and celebrate the triumphs at the micro level rather than the macro level. Allow me to explain. When the moment-to-moment engagements carry so much weight, taking a moment to appreciate those moments where you do see yourself getting noticeably better and getting kills and actually surviving and taking limited damage is very important. And yeah, this extends to all elements of the game, whether it be in your looting efficiency, your shooting, and your combat approach, anything really. I've had so many moments in raids where I ultimately died, but I could look back on the raid and say, yeah, look, that sucked, but I did do really well at this moment and with this thing. And those learnings are things that I can take with me going forward. And when every micro moment in Escape from Tarkov carries that much risk, shifting your mentality to appreciating those small moments and appreciating what degree of risk you're constantly under can help you approach the game in a much healthier way, I think. It takes one bad decision to completely invalidate the hundreds of good decisions that you made prior to that moment. And we as humans are not perfect robots. We're not going to get it right every time. A game that has forced me to take more appreciation for those micro moments, even when the end result is less than ideal, is something that Tarkov has actually really taught me to appreciate quite a lot. And I'm thankful to the game for doing so, because it's a lesson that I can really find myself taking into, other first-person shooter games and just in life in general, to be fair. And if I may for a second, folks, get deep here. It's funny, right? As human beings, we tend to go through a lot of negativity bias in our day-to-day life. It's something that I think for the most part is baked into us. When we encounter a negative experience in life, it tends to sit with us in a way that's far more commanding than the likes of positive ones. It just comes as human nature of being risk adverse, and when we do encounter risk, we try to mitigate it as best we can. And with Escape from Tarkov, there is a real danger of letting your negativity bias get in the way of you having a fun time with this game. And as a newer player to the game, trying to learn it and trying not to get frustrated with the trials and tribulations it throws at me on a daily basis, I think a very big step in that is appreciating those micro moments. So if there are any new players like me watching this video right now, I guess from a new player's perspective, that is the biggest tip that I can offer to everyone out there. Take enjoyment in those micro moments of success. Even if you don't extract the raid, even if you don't, get everything done that you wanted to, enjoy those small wins that you have and use them as a learning opportunity alongside your heavy losses. Because let me tell you, there will be plenty of heavy losses. Now, obviously, I'm saying a lot of really great things about Tarkov right now. I'm sure there's a lot of, rose-tinted glasses effect that comes from me being a new player to the game and everything being, ooh, fresh and shiny, right? But yeah, look, I'm genuinely enjoying the game right now. To temper some expectations, though, because I know there's going to be a lot of people in my community here who have not played Tarkov before, it's not going to be a game for everyone, even when you really focus on that, mentality shift of taking things one step at a time. It's a game that demands you put yourself in very risky situations and walk in with a very open mind and with a lot of time commitment to really dedicate yourself to and master the game. And that's not going to be for everyone. If you're looking for a casual shooter to jump in and out with, Tarkov is not your game, and it never will be. It's clearly not what it's going for. And, there'll probably be a chance where even I get sick and tired of it and decide to back away in that sense as well. But for now, it is a game that has gripped my attention, and again, as I said earlier, hindsight's a bitch, and I wish I'd played Tarkov far, far sooner. If you guys have made it this far and you've enjoyed listening to a new player's perspective on the game and, you know, what it brings to the table, then feel free to come check us out over on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/kamikaze78, where I'm doing a lot of broadcasting of my time on Tarkov, and I would love to hear all of the tips and tricks that come from the veteran players, or if you're a new player as well and want to join me in the, you know, the journey of navigating Tarkov, then come on through. It'd be great to have you over there on the Twitch community side of things as well, folks. If you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to backhand the like button, as it does go a long way to supporting the channel. And if you're new here, consider subscribing too, because we're going to be doing a lot more content. I presume some for Tarkov as well, coming up very, very shortly as well. So if you want to see more from me, then yeah, go hit that sub button, guys. We do a lot of first-person shooter games here, so lots of stuff coming your way. But for now, guys, it's been a pleasure. I hope you enjoyed the video. Take care, peace out, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Have a good one, guys.